Welcome, guys. We're back again with another episode of the Life of Logos podcast. I'm Ken.
And I'm Colin.
And welcome back, man. Today we're talking about stories.
Oh, yeah.
Continuing the conversation about stories, what makes a good story. In last episode, we talked about a story that you had just made. Yeah. Pretty fresh. A lot of interesting characters and plots going on there. A lot of interesting character dynamics between them. Yep. And you see a very clear arc in some of them. We're just going to continue that conversation and keep talking about story. So in that, I recently made a few stories myself.
Let's hear it, my man.
A few of them. A few, not a lot, not a couple, not a few, but somewhere in between. Yeah. And those, I was thinking one of them came to me in the shower, and the other one came to me while I was kind of like on a walk, and between like going on a walk and like coming back inside, and just decompressing and thinking about stuff, watching TV. So I guess we could talk about the latter first, and I'll caveat it with what used to really resonate people with these Disney stories, where it felt like themes of life were like really echoed in these stories. And that's what made you like really want to watch it. Right. Okay. Lion King, Remember Who You Are, and Grief. Okay. Little Mermaid. You want to be where the people are. You want to be in the streets and have legs and not talk.
Burn things.
Burn stuff, man. It's an arson. Ariel, arson. She had red hair. It goes together. Hercules, Hades. Okay. Wow. Hating. You can't spell Hades without hating.
You can't
spell hating without. You can, but it depends on how you.
And that's isn't it.
You see what I did there. I do. You see what I did there. The theme of Hercules is power was always within you the whole time, right? And you got to go the distance to find that out. I'm really just using everybody's main song as maybe that's how you should do it.
I think the theme of that one is the journey reveals yourself. You find yourself in the journey.
There it is. There it is.
That makes a lot of sense all of a sudden. Because Hades is always taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Hercules actually does the work. That's what that is. That's what that story's about. Oh.
So with that, being a ripe, young, old millennial like I am, I was thinking about what stories would resonate with our audience. People, I'd say like 25, 6, like maybe 42 or something like that.
I think that's about where we are as a generation.
Somewhere like that, right? What resonates with us? What locks us in? What would grip us? What would be a good animated story, I think, for all of us to see? And I'm trying to think. Well, I really wasn't trying to think of this one. I was literally watching TV. This is when it came to me. So there's a quote that we kind of opened up the entire podcast with. Is one that I got from my geometry teacher way back when, Mr. Loveland, which is, in life, you'll always be one of two things. Wish you had, but glad you did. Okay? So in that, I was thinking about that quote and some personal things going on in my life. And I was thinking about this one story where things happen. And I was thinking about another story as well, where it's like, again, you're sitting there watching TV, and like we all feel this call of like, you need to be doing something more. You need to be doing something greater. But sometimes we'll burn out. Okay. And millennials, I feel like we are in this weird in-between generation where folks are always pointing fingers at you. Folks are always like, you need to do better, but there's not really the platform to do better sometimes. Sometimes you need to pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and you try to do that. And I don't know, I feel like things are in place, whether they be psychological or they be actually your physical environment. Okay, so if we start off with that one, the story opens up with this guy who is sitting down watching TV, and his life's passing him by, and he's trying to figure out exactly what to do with his life. He's made a lot of pretty right decisions to this point, and in doing so, he still feels like he's messing up, right? So his job is okay, but it was a safe job, and it's working kind of out working. And he feels like his family is judging him, society, work, he's coming at him and saying, you need to pick it up and do better. And he's just not loving on himself, right? He's forgetting piece by piece who he is. Okay. So he gets lost in the rut of what life is and kind of gets lost in the gist and smoke of that. So he looks out on TV, and on TV there's a commercial that says there's a rehabilitation center for millennials. So you need to go there and check it out. And for the burnout millennials who are doing their best, life says you need to do better, you need to earn more, you need to be a bigger go-getter, you need to get some awards, you need to get some achievements under your belt. Come on to this place and we'll get you in the right headspace to do those things and execute and etc. Main character, protagonist, thinks that's stupid. He's like, I would never do something like that. Weeks go by, keep seeing the same commercial over and over and over and over again. And it's like there are more ads for it. In that, a lot of bills come in. He's overdue on some stuff. Credit card bills piling up. He's man, I'm just not getting it. Knock on the door. He gets served. Get a court order. It seems like, what is this, man? Why is somebody doing this? He opens it up, and it's like a draft letter to go to the rehab center. The rehab center is now changed. It's more like Squid Games, but for millennials. So there are all these tasks that he has to get through. And he's seen how it started off as like a spa day kind of thing, and it slowly escalated into something a lot more aggressive in nature. So it's eating your past. So like everyone has like a plate in front of them they have to eat. It might be a brownie in the shape of a degree or something. And it's like you never got it, or you're supposed to get this thing. Or it might be, I don't know, just some other work-related stuff or some other stuff that's not necessarily relevant right now, to make a long story shorter. So he gets his letter. He's trying to figure out, like, what do I do? He's freaking out. He hallucinates, and he sees a little version of him. Okay, so that little version of him is able to help him, one, cope with the fact that he just got this draft letter to go to this forced rehab center for millennials, and cope with the idea that maybe he's not doing as well in life as he wants to, and try to better frame what the world wants from him. Okay, so he gets in there, and they're going through all these Squid Games or whatever for millennials, and he meets this female kind of anti-protagonist who's the exact opposite of him. So he's like very safe and trying to play by the rules. He's trying to get in close with the council of people who've made the rules so he better understands, so he can be like one of the first people to get out there because he does not want to be there. Meanwhile, she's breaking tables. Okay, she's breaking tables. She's smashing stuff with bats. She's like, F y'all, I don't want to do any of this. This is stupid. This is below me, beneath me. And it's actually his younger self who's able to come in between and mediate and say that you need to do more, and you need to take more ownership of what's going on in your life. And you need to learn how to submit to rules and regulation a little bit better, because it's not necessarily a system that's meant to kill you. But if you do hang on, you can learn something from this. Okay, so they go through, and long story short, they're able to break out of the matrix by really tapping into that childhood self and just paint on the walls with their hands. Right. And from there, they learn things about each other and themselves. And through that, again, they heal their childhood selves. And in the end, the guys, so what happens to you now? And him and his childhood self are able to reconcile and say, I was always with you, but I'll always be with you so long as you remember me. And then he fades off. And yeah, that's where it ends. So,
I like that.
Yeah. So that one, I'm calling it Still Me for now.
Still me.
Still me.
Huh. Would you... Got some questions.
Okay.
So, where the child appears, that's the break into the second act, I imagine.
Yes.
All right, so the rest of that is explain that. What's like the midpoint? What's your character want?
He wants acceptance.
He wants acceptance. What does he need?
I would say he wants acceptance, but he needs to feel validated in the system that he's in.
Okay. And does he do that by reconciling with his younger self?
Yes. Okay. But that's how he kind of skirts around that, right? That's his arc, right? So he starts in this position of, I just want to be a part of things. I want to do all the right things, but I need to execute the rules to the best of my ability. But at the same time, he doesn't feel like he has the tools to do it. He feels like he's getting further away from who he used to be. So what he really needs is to be himself again. He needs to recognize that, yeah, you're an employee. Yeah, you need to do these things to progress in your career. But more than that, I'm a freaking person. And before work became a thing, I used to play and jump and make up words and have silly, dumb jokes. But now, because of corporate America or because of whatever systems that be, I don't want to be any of that. I go to work and I come home and that's it. You go to sleep and just want to be functional enough to get to work the next day. He takes the weekends and he watches TV, and then he doesn't do anything else. He's just trying to make it to the next work day, and then which he rues and doesn't want to come, but he's just working through get through work versus progressing in life. So progressing in life to him initially is what corporate America is telling him it should be. That's what the elites are telling him. I guess program that runs the Squid Games, the elites is what we call it. Mm-hmm. The elites, again, the propaganda is you need to be a successful person. How do you define success? Career success. Your life should look like this. Everything should be in this nice, neat little box. And if it's not, what are you doing? Okay. Mm-hmm. So you need to be rehabilitated for that.
Yeah.
The voice we need to recognize that there was a young you at a certain point.
True.
Who had a lot of fun.
True.
And when you were a little person, you were like, I can't wait to be an adult because when I'm an adult, I'm going to fill in the blank. And then sometimes you fill in the blank, sometimes you don't. Again, you get caught up in the rest of life and you get caught up in other people's expectations, especially work expectations. And you're like, but whatever happened to me being like, I can't wait to be 30 so I can build a sandcastle real big. And it's going to take all day. And nobody has to tell me that I have to come in and wash my hands and feet off because, it's going to take 5 hours to build.
Yeah.
I don't go outside with no sunscreen on. That's my own business. But
I get what you're saying. Man, I think that as it's playing it coming together in my mind, it's really coming. So for the majority of the story, is he in the rehab center or is he in like his life?
So there are flashbacks. For the most part, he's in the rehab center.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be really interesting. I think you could do a lot with that. Like they having to build a fort, like building a house, something that we all miss this generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be good.
Getting degrees, blah, 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 starting a family. That's what's a big one. Yeah. Would it be like the midpoint of the story? He's with other people in this rehab, and then all of a sudden, like he pleases everybody in the rehab, but he abandons himself.
I think the midpoint, if I remember correctly, is kind of something to the extent of like he's in there with everybody, and it's when or maybe this is the false victory, is when he thinks that he figured out the rules, and because he figured out the rules, he was going to be able to leave this game simulation thing. But when he figured out that these were the rules, they changed them immediately. The second he figures them out, oh, these are the rules, I can get out of here, right? And the elites are like, what are you talking about? We make up the rules. You just wrote these. What do you think the rules are? And they rewrite them like right in front of his face, and then they laugh at him. And then he's like, oh, this is crazy. And then his childhood self is, it's okay, break the rules.
Yeah.
They don't exist in the first place. So then there's a little bit of conflict there. And he's like, I don't need you. And then he pisses off his childhood self. And he's like, well, you abandoned me anyway for 20 years. So let me go back in the corner that you put me in. And then he's like, whoa, what are you talking about, man? So
I like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential in the story. I think that would reach a lot of people, like healing and reconciling from a mental health perspective.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with that one. That's the first one. I got a few more. We're on another one called Honor Bound.
Honor Bound.
I got 6 of them down right now. I'm like, which one? I'm trying to recall them off the top of my head. Honor Bound is one about these kids who come from military families that have troubled backgrounds.
That makes sense.
They have to go to what they think is this juvenile detention center. And they're like, I don't really know what to do. Like, I guess like I'm a little troubled and maybe they cause some ruckus, whatever. Turns out they're not there actually because they've been causing ruckus. The 4 of them, they actually have really strong bloodlines of other like military members and like servicemen and women, like that spans back from Civil War, Revolutionary War, going all the way back to Romans and Greeks and whatever. So these 4 kids, they're recruited nonetheless. There's a training montage, and basically they're sent on a mission to Hollow Earth. And in Hollow Earth, there's all this stuff going on. They got to figure out shenanigans. And at the center of Earth, after they like figure out like, whoa, it's cool. And there's still like mammoths around. There's still dinosaurs. There's still this and that. It's so cool. And there are all these libraries. There's a villain who's from, I don't know, like Genghis Khan or somebody, another young kid who has been trained by these monks, these evil monks who have been like controlling stuff for a really long time, who trained a lot of villains from normal history. And they train this kid up. He's way better than the 4 combined. And basically there's like secret knowledge in this Middle Earth that he's trying to get to that essentially if he does get there, then he interrupts the peace for the rest of the world. So these 4 young young cadets have to work together and figure out the best way to foil this fifth evil guy.
I would watch that immediately.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
Word.
Yeah.
That's dope. I appreciate that.
I'm hooked already.
Yeah.
Cool.
That one needs more work, though. We're still fleshing that one out.
Structural work?
Structural work, yeah. So I had the idea for it.
Great premise.
There's another one I think you would really like, too. It's called The Load.
The Load.
The Load. The Load. Maybe I'll call it The Weight. Not when you say it like that, maybe I'll call it The Weight.
Hey, I don't know. Put it in context.
I'll call it The Weight.
The Weight.
There's actually a song called The Weight.
Oh.
Have you heard of it?
Who's it by?
I forget who's it by, but it's an old band.
Okay.
And how does it go? It's, pick the load up, Sally. Or take the load up, Sally. Take the load for me. I'll take it up gladly. And basically, you're having a rough time. Just put your load on me. I'll just get through, right? I'll just press on. Just whatever it is. Phrasing. Troubles and your burdens. We'll navigate through that. So it's a story about these two hikers, right? Two young people met each other in college. And they just graduated. Young couple. Okay? Guy and a girl. And they're backpackers, and they start going up a mountain. And at a certain point, it gets very steep, right? Like almost unexpectedly steep. They're both experienced hikers. They've both been hiking the same amount of time. They do the same trails, etc. But it gets unexpectedly steep. And they're like, dang, this sucks. Girlfriend starts to fall behind a little bit. So the guy slows up his pace to match hers. She gets slower and slower and slower the steeper the hill gets, right? So time progresses, and then eventually the hill itself, or the mountain itself, talks to the couple, right? The mountain can like project itself in like a little spirit angel thing, right? And it's going to give you the choice, right? You guys can either keep walking the same mountain at the same incline, or if it gets hard, then I'll give you the ability, if you want, to shift the incline in the way. So if, let's say me and you are walking at one incline, both, right? And you got a 50-pound ruck, I got a 50-pound ruck. You can opt to put your 50 pounds on me and walk a smooth incline. So I would then have 50 pounds, or I'd have 100 pounds, and a 2 incline, and you have a 0 incline. Okay. So they do that.
Buddy fuckery.
Right.
Yeah.
Phrasing. But anyway, so the guy and the girl, they go up, and then at first, like, they're talking about maybe we should give some weight because, like, you're slowing down. And she's like, okay, only if it's a dire circumstance, only like for a little bit too. And they come up with all these rules and all these boundaries about like how they're going to do that. And it gets late in the night, and I feel like I twisted my ankle a little bit. Do you mind if we switch a little bit? Yeah, no problem. She's like, I'm not going to give you the full weight, but I'll give you some of it. So he takes 5 pounds and like just a piece of incline, just a little bit. And slope, visibly, you can see it in the cartoon that like what he's walking is a lot steeper than she is, right? So long story short, story progresses to the point where he's walking completely, almost vertically. He's climbing a mountain like hand over foot. She's going like almost downhill, right? And she's continuing, oh, no, this is worse, go steeper. And at a certain point, the guide comes back and is, if you want to, you can carry her if you want to, all the way to the top if she's suffering so bad. And he's might as well, basically. And she's like, oh, well, I don't know. So he throws her in the back, makes it all the way to the top of the mountain. And then the mountain's like, no one usually makes it to the top of the mountain at all. What do you want to do? You want to keep going? I know this is the best view you've ever seen in your life. There's no view imaginable than this, other than like climbing another mountain. The guy looks and he sees all these mountaintops. And the girl's like, all right, let's do it. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's climb the next mountain. And then the guy looks over and it's like, but I'll be climbing these by myself. And that's it's more of a short than a whole.
I can see it. I can also see it. And that's it's a monkey's paw way of breaking up with somebody.
Yeah,
I'm taking you. Get out of my back. You're doing it alone.
By myself. And then the last one is about this guy who grandpa in this like resorty retirement home. Okay, so it's like real nice. It's Gucci. It's opt-in. It's not necessarily like hospice or anything. It's just more of a resort for old people so that they have community. So this guy loves his grandpa. He visits him one day, and this guy, similar to the first story, this guy's just having a rough time, man. He's made all the right decisions, as the other guy didn't so much. This guy's doing well corporately. He's got this fiance. On paper, things look really good. She's beautiful, well-educated, etc., but not exactly happy in that situation. And again, it'd be tough for him to do anything outside of that because, again, optics to him are very important, and he doesn't really know how to navigate his life. It seems like life is happening more to him than him being an actual effective change agent in his own life, right? So he's ghosting away from himself. Goes to his grandpa to clear his head and just get some things out. His grandpa brings out the skeleton key and gives it to him and says, "You might need this, son." And he's, "What is it? Something to like a safe deposit box?" And he's like, "You'll see soon enough, right?" So he takes the key, puts it in his pocket, doesn't think about it. And he's like, "All right, cool. I'm going to leave this retirement resort and go on about my day." And he's ruminating about his life and the things going on. And suddenly his phone starts buzzing and vibrating. He's like, "Oh, it must be my phone." Looks in his other hand. His phone's in his hand. "I don't have two phones. I steal from this phone. What is this?" The key's kind of buzzing a little bit. And he's like, "That's odd. This looks like a metal key. There's no battery in this. Why is it vibrating?" And he looks around and he sees this big long hallway that he's never seen in this retirement facility. So he's like, "I must need to go in there." Uses the key, opens the door, blinding bright light. He steps through. The door behind him disappears and he's in the desert. Okay. In the desert, though, are these big glass cubes that are sectioned off individually. And across that, there's a big arc that says, "Almost glad I did." Okay. So he goes in there and he's like, "What is this?" And he sees all these people kind of walking around, a lot of people putting their faces and noses up to the glasses and just weeping and crying. And there's a stone in the middle that reads that if you're reading this, you're the curator of the Museum of Almost. And it's where people go to see the life that they almost lived. So in these glass display cases, they see instruments they never played, kids they never had, careers they never had, trips they never went on, all because they were too afraid to do those things. So that is crazy. That's a mistake. Why am I here? Because I've done everything right. I've done everything the way I was supposed to do it. So it doesn't make sense that I'm here. He's walking around and he hears a familiar voice, and it's an ex he used to have. She comes up and is like, "What are you doing here? I know why I'm here. I've been here for a while. I've been trapped in here. Why are you here? You made all the quote unquote right decisions for your life, right?" And he's like, "I don't know. I just kind of ended up here, man. I don't really understand it." So they're chit chatting, fun and games, whatever. And they're going through these glass exhibits and they're like reconnecting. And she brings to his attention that she's actually there because of him. So in all these glass displays, again, there are pianos that were never played. There were mugs that got smashed on the ground because they got smashed because someone should have had a hard conversation, or all these other things should have happened. But she's literally trapped there because they were supposed to be together. So "I'm here because of you," explaining your situation. They talk about it, they catch up, and his grandpa appears in that place and he helps him figure out and cope with what's going on. And he says, "Hey, you're here just like I got here. You did all the right things, I guess, but you were never happy doing them. So I'm going to need you basically to free yourself by going to the land of it. I'm glad you did." And in the beginning, his grandpa always tells him, "You're always going to be one of two things in life. Wish you had it, glad you did." And he's like, "You're in the land of wish you had right now." And he's like, "Now that you know all this information, you can go to the land of glad you did." He's like, "Well, where's that?" And he's like, "It's the real world. It's the world that you left," right? End of the movie, third act, but he goes back and rights all his wrongs, lives his life the way he really wants to live it. And you see him old and at the same retirement home. And then he has a grandkid and passes the key on to him too. So that's the movie, the story, and whatever. Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
I know that one's. You're an artist. with stories. No, you are. I'm more of a scientist. You're the artist.
No.
Here's something. I'm going to paint you a picture so you get what I'm trying to say. That's very artistic with an art.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I just think a lot of people go through a lot of similar things. And if you look at like movies and media that we used to have, they used to be very telling of those things. And you can see like the flow of consciousness, where I think a lot of stuff now is a lot more hollow and it doesn't ring the same.
It's merchandisable.
Yeah, you can't really put a t-shirt on that. Wish I had. That's not really a good t-shirt. Damn, I wish I had.
Big dad gift.
You got a shirt that said, you know what I should have done? Like, that's rough, but like it's a true thing. I don't know, like really thinking about the human experience and the human perspective, and like thinking of stories of friends, myself sometimes, like stories like I've heard growing up. That's one thing that used to scare me so much as a kid, right? Was as growing up, I was around a whole lot of old people. Right? Like some of my favorite people were like, most of my favorite people when I was a kid were like 60-plus-year-old family members. And it seemed like every one of them had a story of, man, I wish I hadn't done that. You know, I wish if I had my time back, I would never have blah, 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 blah. Or, man, what I should have done was boom. So for me, like, I've always kind of internalized that not necessarily there's a right or wrong way to live life, but I know it's corny and cliche, but everybody says, I try to live with no regrets. But I really do. I try to, like, live life as true to me as I can. And be my own person, have my own thoughts, and live that way in a way that I can be proud of and take ownership of. And in that, though, I think all of us get to a point sometimes where you feel like you might be getting a little further away from that. And sometimes you got to bring yourself back. How do you do that, though? And in the story, too, there's also a moment when he's talking to his grandpa where it's like, where he's kind of like going back and forth with his grandpa, where he's like, how do you know what the right decision is? And his grandpa's like, there is no wrong decision other than not making it. Okay? Yeah. And if you really look around, look within yourself and look at the moments that are before you right now. There's a bunch of stuff you didn't make an actual decision on, and you just threw your hands up and let life figure it out for you. So, to me, I'm like, I try my best to be as hands-on with life as possible. But there are definitely times where you take your hands off and it's just Thursday. I'm not about to do nothing too crazy. Let's just let Thursday be Thursday. Let go and let God. But that's all of us, you know? Yeah. And I think it's tough to be actively in charge every day of your own life and your own destiny. But at the end, you got to take ownership of what you did do and what you didn't do, what you almost did, what you wish you had done. And sometimes we don't like to do that. Sometimes we like to just be like, I didn't do this because, and it's something that you directly could have influenced. So,
completely valid point.
Yeah, I feel like that shakes hands with millennials. And yeah, I don't know. Just keep crying about it, I guess.
I like that story about responsibility. Yeah. And find a way to develop from life to another idea. We'll bring it up shortly in the next one. Until then,
I'm Ken.
I'm Colin. We'll catch you on the next one.
We'll see you.